And we are officially live. Hello, everyone. Buenas noches a las todos, mi gente. And welcome to another episode of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your weekly CMLL Post-Show Breakdown show here at BC WrestlePod. As you can see in my, internet when it doesn't want to work for me, that's okay. We're going to roll with it. I am rocking it solo tonight. My name is Mikey. I am El Jefe of BC WrestlePod. And as far as on the screen, it is just me tonight. Unfortunately, my other co hosts are either on sabbatical or they had to take a break because there's some nasty sickness going around. And so far, I got it a little bit last week, but I am doing better now and the worst is behind me. So I am here tonight to bring you all the action. Yeah. See, Primo, this is what we're working with tonight. I don't know if the wrestling gods hate me tonight, but my Wi-Fi is acting crazy and it's acting a fool. So hopefully things are better for us, honestly, because I don't know what we're doing. We're gonna try that. But I am super excited to be here nonetheless to talk about another episode of Viernes Espectacular for CMLL. And before we get into all of that, if you've been rocking with us for the last 3.5 years, or if you're brand new to BC WrestlePod, hi and welcome. YouTube, Twitch, and Kick is your mainstay for all of our live post shows. And then YouTube has the edited versions that go up the next day because sometimes we just want to watch a condensed version. But we also have our social medias if you're looking for something more self-contained. And that's where you can find our report cards, previews of the shows, prediction stuff. It is great. We are about to be heading into some fun pay-per-view shows this month. Tomorrow on Saturday, not tomorrow, Saturday, I'm doing a live watch along for MLW's Battle Riot, which should be a lot of fun. But we also have some merchandise available at our shop, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. And of course, last but certainly not least, if you feel inclined to help us pay for all these streaming services, yep, paying for all these streaming services, or, to help me fix my internet, apparently. No, but to help us pay for the streaming services and these pay per views, the coffee bot will be popping in ever so often during this whole entire thing. And yeah, you can help us, but no pressure because we know economic times are tough. It's crazy. Let's just get into it because before we even start the show, because I saw a little bit of Informa and I knew this was coming, Primo, but I am excited. I am so hyped for Torneo de Escuelas 2. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be introduced to more Escuela boys and like all the schools out in Mexico competing too. I'm so excited. Torneo de Escuelas has become one of my favorite tournaments that CMLL has throughout the year, and this is no exception for this year. I'm really excited, and that begins, I believe it begins shortly, if I remember correctly. But I am stoked and ecstatic nonetheless, and I cannot wait for this year's Torneo de Escuelas. So we will be keeping an eye out on these matches and the tournament as it goes along. I cannot wait. It's going to be great. But we got a lot of action to talk about for CMLL. And once again, we are backed with a 7-match card for this one. So this is crazy. I'm just excited to be introduced to more luchadors that aren't on CMLL right now. And honestly, I'm here for more exposure to independent lucha libre people, which is great. So now that we are hyped for Torneo de Escuelas and we gotten that out of the way a little bit, let's get into the show because Viernes Espectacular, it was pretty good. I had a good time with this. I do think some matches were better than others. I don't think there was anything horrible about the show, but I'm just going to put it this way. I am kind of happy we're going back to the standard 6-match card starting this Friday because 7 matches for CMLL is a lot. But, and I'm biased because the wrestling we're going to talk about in a little bit, but character work is super important to me. And one of my favorite Ring of Honor factions right now because they are so BC WrestlePod coded made an appearance during the show, and this is going to be fun. But we're going to start things off with what opened up the show. This was Relevo Sencillo. Yeah, we're going to get into that because I was shocked. I was just like, oh, so this is what we're doing. Okay. I'm gonna hold my thoughts until we talk about the main event because I was like, all right. But we kicked off this past episode of Viernes Espectacular with a relevo sencillo. So this is Rey Cometa and Espiritu Negro, one of my two favorites here. It's been a hot minute since I've seen y'all on my screen in terms of, Viernes Espectacular as a tag team. And they, of course, are taking on one of our new favorites here in Polvora and El Coyote. These two, Polvora and El Coyote especially, are like getting a lot of shine right now. And it is kind of fantastic. It's been fun. We always state here every single week, and we're going to continue to say this every single week, that this match is going to either help or hinder the energy that we receive for the rest of the show. To me, this was a really pretty solid standard or level sencillo. I do like all four individuals who are here for this one. Like I said, Polvora and El Coyote are getting a lot of this. And this was a pretty solid match. Yeah, and I agree with you, Primo. Again, this was nothing too crazy. This is not a barn burner. This was not a match that was going to, get the Dave Meltzer like 10-star class. But this is definitely a solid bout that has between these four guys, and nothing really missed for me in this match. I think this was a solid opener for sure, especially given the antics and the craziness that we were going to be seeing for the entirety of the rest of the show. So I was just like, this was the calm before the storm because things got buck wild as we went through everything. Oh Lord. But it would be Polvora and El Coyote to pick up the win here over Rey Cometa and Espiritu Negro. And again, this was a solid match from these four guys. Nothing really missed for me. And we move into our next match, which is a Relevo Australiano VIP. And oh man, I love everybody here just because I was just like, this is going to be fantastic. So, this is a kind of special match that we got. This is Los Edirdos versus La Bestias del Diablo. So, this is the team of Felino Jr., El Cobarde, and Hijo de Stuka Jr., taking on the team of Akuma, Gamelo Diablo Uno, y Gemelo Diablo Dos. I'm proud of myself with the Spanish, you guys. I'm not gonna lie. Anywho, so this was Relevo Australiano VIP or VIP. I like the Gemelos. I think I've said this every time they pop up on my screen. I do really enjoy Akuma and the Gemelos. They are a lot of fun. And I always give Hijo de Stuco Jr. a very hard time with him looking like he drew on Snake Jolita eyebrows at the top of his mask, and he looks like he was wearing a bike helmet. It's never going to get old. I will say, though, I don't want to say that I was bored during this match, right? Because Lucha Libre is great. I will say that it started off a little weird for me, but towards the end, it started to get my attention. I also want to clarify that I was under the weather still, and I was up on a lot of cold medicine, so I may or may not have remembered certain things correctly. But once this match started get going, I was really excited, and this was a fun match by the end of it. I think for me, it started off a little okay. We're testing the waters, we're seeing how this goes, and then once they kicked it into gear, I'm like, oh yes, might be great. And I have to agree with you too. There's something about Cobarde that where he, like on paper and appearance wise, he doesn't look too crazy. He looks like a Rorschach test in his mask, which is funny. But there's something about the finesse of his moves that he's pulling that it kind of makes it a lot of fun. By the end of this, these six individuals brought me in because at first I was just like, okay, let's see. We're testing the waters. This is pretty good. And then they kicked it into gear. I'm like, okay, I'm glued. I'm sold. This is great. So I had a fun time with this match. And by the end of it, it would be the team of Felino Jr., El Cobarde, and Hijo de Stuka Jr. to pick up the win over Akuma and, Gemelo Diablo Uno y Dos, but I had a fun time with this match. Now, I want to clarify something. We're going to get into our next match, and I am very sad that Papa Oso is not here because he is the president of the Amazona fan club, and I cannot do it justice. But we're going to talk about some Amazonas action because I have missed some of these girls. I've missed all these girls, and we're going to give them time because some of my favorites were in this match, but we get a Relevo Australiano VIP de Amazonas. And this was really fun to see a lot of these girls that I've been missing from back. So, of course, on one side, you had the team of La Jarochita, our big girl, Scotty, who I've missed Scotty on my screen. I love her to death. And Tabitha, who is still fairly new to us, taking on the team of Persephone, Zuxis, and Sunelli. I love the way that the announcers say her name because it's fantastic. Um, it's no secret. Persephone and Zuxis, anytime I see them on my screen, I'm just like, girl, you get one of these. Yes, ma'ams, you get one of these. And it's been really good because the last couple of weeks we have been missing the Amazonas action. But I am excited that we are getting more of them. And now we're getting back to having Amazonas matches on Fridays. And I'm super excited because, spoiler alert, we're getting someone who's been on excursion in Japan and she gets to have come back and appear again next Friday. And I'm excited, but we're going to talk about it. So, this was a match that was full of power and craziness and just some really fun Amazonas action. Again, for me, it's Scotty has had a really fun 2025. She is fantastic. Of course, Persephone and Zuxis always do it. Sinelli's pretty good. La Jarochita, I do like that Jarochita and Yuvia are kind of like over the course of 2025, they leaned into more of being the rudo. And again, Tabitha is still newer to me, and I know she is still learning the process of everything. But you know what? She did pretty good in this match too. I don't have any complaints. I thought this was a solid match. Of course, when you mix your power bases of Zuxis and Skyzy taking on girls who can do a little bit of everything, and like Persephone and La Jarochita, this is really, really fun. Oh, yes, that's right. Okay. So, fun match. Tabitha, when she's on, is really fun to watch, but she's not consistent yet. She's also headed back to Japan till May, which is good for that consistency thing. Yeah, there's a lot of girls coming back and forth between, CMLL and Japan, not just the girls who are in Japan normally, but also our CMLL Amazonas too. Like I said, we're going to be talking about somebody when we look at the preview for next Friday or this Friday. But this was a really solid and a really fun match, and it goes to show that I've missed my Amazonas on my screen, and I am happy that we are now getting at least one Amazona match on the cards now, which of course I'm super excited for when March rolls around when we get our all women's show. This is great. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I was hearing too, because India is also headed out for a bit too. So the revolving door between sending girls to other places and also girls from other places coming here, it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully this builds repertoires because we love seeing professional wrestling thrive, everyone. And I know it sounds crazy out here when we talk about certain shows and certain hosts feel very protective of certain promotions. But as an end all be all, we love to see professional wrestling thrive, and learning different styles is going to make you a better wrestler. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. But after a really fun Amazonas match, the team of Persephone, Sinelli, and Zuxis would end up picking the victory over La Jarochita, Scotty, and Tabitha. Really fun stuff from the Amazonas, and I have no complaints. I'm gonna let this picture just stay here for a little bit because, on the one hand, I am biased. MXM Collection is BC WrestlePod personified as wrestlers. Love to see them. But guys, I had to stop watching CMLL for a hot minute because I had to collect my tears. Because how dare they do this to our novio, Soberano Jr.? A moment of silence. No, okay, I'm back. No, this match was ridiculous. Before we even get to the match, the whole entrance is just ridiculous, but like in the funnest way possible. MXM Collection is stupid, but not like in a go away kind of stupid, but this is my kind of wrestling stupid. Like they are just out of this world, out of the box. They are comedic. I do not take them seriously, but that's the point. And sometimes you just need wrestlers like that. And because they're so over the top, it kinda amplifies the audacity that they have in the way that they were acting during well, actually, than the way they were acting before, during, and after the match too, because it sets a lot of things up for this coming Friday, which is very, very fun to see. But before the match even began and before we had the entrances of our CMLL guys, Johnny TV, who now becomes Johnny Consejo by the end of the night, I was just like, oh Lord, Johnny is out here collecting last names like they're the Infinity Stones and Pokemon cards. I swear, man. But MX, yeah, this was great. They're stupid. It is hilarious. They are stupid. Primo coming in. I'll get my gripe out of the way. I wish they had built up MXM on AEW so it didn't feel like jobber. Really, no offense. You're beating the top Rudo here's FFs. And here's the thing, right? For the most part, and I, as somebody who watches Ring of Honor and AEW, you're not in here. You are not wrong. People are like, no, they're basically like a job squad. They will win matches, but they will also lose matches. They are here to take pins and losses, and they're not supposed to be taken seriously. But yeah, so the AEW needed to do a better job of building up MXM collection because it's true though. You're literally beating up the tag champs and you're beating out like the heartthrob of CMLL too. These are your top rudos. Well, some of your top rudos, and the job squad of MXM collection beat them. Though I do agree with the gripe out of the way, though, this was a really fun match. Um, and I have to agree, MXM Collection did way better than their last outing. Mason looked freaking great. Mason continues to surprise me, and I feel like of everyone in that group, in regards to the men, I think he has learned a lot and he has really evolved his style of wrestling. And it's crazy because again, Mason is, when him and Mansoor, when in the formerly in the Fed of WWE and all of that good stuff, Mason was the athlete to pro wrestler pipeline. And then when he got released from WWE, him and Mansoor decided to continue working on the independents, which led to AEW and Ring of Honor. And here we are now. I think Mason definitely has really learned to kind of use his size to his advantage. And he makes the shtick work, but he's also added some more finesse to his repertoire of wrestling. I don't know if that is an accurate statement, but he looks a lot smoother than he was before. Mansoor is Mansoor. He's great. I do like Mansoor. And it's Johnny TV. Now, Johnny, I love you, but the Starship Pain, we know we're seeing you slow down a little bit, but that's okay. We love you. I still love Starship Pain as a finisher. No, Mason is great. He's a giant in CMLL, and they played off that more this time, which is great. And I feel like that's what you need to do, especially since, he's taller than all these wrestlers out here, including his own stablemates. Um, this match was a lot of fun, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of surprised to see the MXM Collection boys pick up a win over Soberano Jr. and Los Hermanos Chavez. Now, after this match, though, this is where we get the big promo off between these two, which sets up what we're getting this Friday. Yeah, keep it simple. Big guy do big guy things. Exactly. So after the match, on the microphone, I did my best to translate everything with my limited knowledge of Spanish, but essentially, what we end up getting, yep, and watching the results for the other shows, MXM Collection swept the whole weekend, which is crazy out here. But MXM Collection demands that they get a shot at the CMLL Tag Team Championships. And Soberano Jr. also wants to fight Johnny TV. So this sets up matches that we are getting this Friday, which I will wait until we get there to talk about them. But then MXM Collection attacks everybody. Soberano Jr.'s mask gets ripped off, and I was like, how dare they do that to our Novio of CMLL? But I'm excited. Soberano Jr. I'm so glad he's back on my screen. He's just everywhere at this point. He's fighting anybody and everybody in CMLL and wherever else. And Soberano Jr., I think, is also fighting people outside of CMLL. Like he's going to be going on Fantastica Mania, I believe, to Japan. So, which is what I really want to see. I want him to fight some people in Japan. Though New Japan right now is kind of going through a growing pain and a changing period. Because Lord help us, we are pretty much gone. So we have pretty much everybody, the original Los Ingobernables de Japón, no longer in New Japan. Earlier, we found, yet literally yesterday, it broke that Hiromu Takahashi is leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. And then, of course, after Wrestle Kingdom, Sonata and Evil are gone. Clark Connors and some of the Bullet Club War Dog boys aren't on their way out too. Who knows? This is crazy. I know, man. I know. Poor Titan. We just left him by himself at this point. I was just like, no. But Titan is going to be fine. I mean, he's going to be good. Hopefully. We'll see. Titan is great. Anywho, so we set up some matches for Friday. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Listen, I knew what this match was. I'm happy to see Flip Gordon back on my screen. So we get a mano match. This is set up from last Viernes Espectacular, where Flip Gordon wanted to go one-on-one with Barbaro Cavernario, and this was great. Flip Gordon, I'm digging the short hair. It does fit your aesthetic of your character more. And listen, I'm here for Flip Gordon. I am a sucker because it is Flip. Hey, no. I really have missed Flip Gordon. I really do. And this was a really fun match. I don't think this is as intense Barbaro Cavernario that we have seen him be in the last couple of weeks. But you know what? I still had a good time with this match. And this was in service pretty much a return singles match for Flip after being on the injury list for a couple of months. So this was really, really fun. I do like Flip Gordon. Me personally, I do think there is a little bit of ring rust that he needs to shake off a little bit, but I think it's CMLL, so ring rust doesn't last that long, and this is pretty good. Um, I thought this was paced really well too. I thought both of them had their spots and their moments do very well, and yeah, I don't have any complaints. It's Flip Gordon doing Flip Gordon things and Barbaro Cavernario doing Barbaro Cavernario things. Yeah, so I don't have any complaints with this. This is a pretty good match. I really enjoyed it. Our boy Flip wins. I know. I think that's the only bad thing that I have about this match is where it was on the card. Great match, but unfortunate placement on the card. Crowd didn't really take to another foreigner win, even though he's a regular, which is very true. And I feel like we've had this conversation on this post show before, Primo, where you're the one that informed us that Flip is a transplant, if you will. So he is not necessarily here from Mexico, but he has transplanted himself. He has immersed himself in the culture. And I think, according to you, he's gotten a baddie who's from down here and he's learned Spanish. So it's fantastic to see. We love it. No, yeah. Tuesday's never an issue for Flip Gordon. I was just like, look where we are on Tuesdays. Crowd loving him, though. So, and I think this goes into what I was saying at the beginning too. Like, I'm really happy that we're going back to 6 matches because the 7-match card was really cool for the last 2 weeks. But it feels like when you have only about 2 hours to fill for a show, 7 matches is kind of rough to do um to do 2 hours of CMLL Lucha Libre goodness. Yeah, he lives in Mexico full time. I thank you for reminding me that because I believe that's because I remembered you telling us that too. So yeah, good on you, Flip. You immerse yourself in the culture. We'd love to see it. But again, Flip Gordon beats Barbaro Cavernario. Really fun. And we get to see more Flip this Friday, if I remember the poster correctly. I might be talking out of my butt. We'll see what happens with that. Okay, I'm going to get this out of the way, right? So I like Claudio. I love me some Shalhua. This is for the Campeonato Mundial de Peso Completo, CMLL. So, in English terms, if you will, the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship. So, of course, this is the champion, Claudio Castagnoli of AEW, taking on the challenger of Shalhua in CMLL. And essentially, this was an open challenge of sorts. So, this was an open challenge. and we saw over promo videos on the internet because I subscribe to the social medias for CMLL. Thank you, CMLL, for also doing the great stuff on socials. But Shelhua answered the call, and this is where this match goes. I can't do this justice because Papa also said it very beautifully 2 weeks ago when we were, well, no, including you, Primo, when all of us were talking about how the AEW boys, when they step into a CMLL ring, that they should, you know, basically you're a guest in CMLL's house, so you should follow their rules and wrestle their stuff. Like, I'm not gonna go into it. You can watch our episode from 2 weeks ago and get all into that. But I like Claudio. It's still very weird of me to see him in the way he wrestles and tries to, I don't want to even say tries. Like, he didn't really adapt to CMLL, but you know what? I think the most important thing to come out of this, and I agree with you, Primo, is that this was a star-making performance for Xiaohua. He is a made guy in CMLL now. And honestly, I feel like Xiaohua has had some of my favorite matches, well, in CMLL when he was going up against, well, here, and when he would have his matches here and in the States against Lee Moriarty. His matches against Lee Moriarty in the Ring of Honor shows and the pay-per-views are probably some of my favorite Lee Moriarty matches. Lee's another one I feel like he does really, really good when he matches up perfectly with a more technical luchador here in CMLL. Like when Lee Moriarty was here 2 weeks ago, him and Shelflaw had a banging match. They had a part two, and I watched it and I fell in love because both of them are fantastic. I think Claudio does Claudio things very well. And of course, Claudio does Claudio things very well to retain this championship. But yeah, the most important thing for me, like you said, Primo, coming out of this match is that Shelhua had a star making performance. And now let's start pushing this man up the card. Can't wait to see where 2026 goes for Shelhua. And this was fantastic. Again, Claudio is still our champion, but hey, Shelhua, you did the thing. You get one of these. Yes. So that's the second one of the night. Okay, first of all, if you notice, this graphic is a lot different in style than the other ones for this slideshow. And I want to tell you, CMLL, I love you, but I could not find the graphic that matched the other ones on the social media. So I had to grab one that you do the previews before the actual show. And I'm mad because it looks crazy. I also have a complaint because technically, if I'm misremembering again, I watch a lot of wrestling. This was the main event. This is the return of Sky Team. Neon is back in action, which we miss you, Neon. We're happy to see you back. This was a hella short match. I don't understand what happened. It's crazy out here. But before we get into that, yes, Shelpa holding Claudio above his head is iconic imagery and baddie behavior. We love it. Bring back the Ken Andre vibes, 100%. No, I'm excited to see where 2026 goes for Shenhua. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be so good. I cannot wait. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be so good. Alrighty, but main event time. This was hella short. Even for CMLL standards, this was a hella short. I was just like, damn. No, 100%. It was a match that happened. Fun, but blink, and it was done. This was crazy. So this is our main event. This is the, reunited now that Neon is back from, almost decapitating himself. But Sky Team, which is Místico Máscara Dorada and Neon, taking on the team of Volador Jr., who is no longer in the Negaverse now that he is clean shaven. Papa also is very sad about that. I'm just going to let y'all know right now. But to lift our spirits, he is teamed up with Ultimo Guerrero, who is one of our faves here at CMLL as well for Los Lobos de la Lucha. And of course, our lovable undead zombie of Difunto. No. And that was the one thing I definitely noticed. Neon learned his lesson last time, and he's just like, we're not going to attempt that crazy dive quite yet. After he landed on his head last time, and it resulted him in being gone for almost 2 months, which is insane. But yeah, this was a really fun match. Of course, saw the Sky Team doing Sky Team things and showing us why they are the CMLL Trios Championships. But Volador Jr., Ultimo Guerrero, and Defunto also proving that individually and collectively they are the Rudos and they're going to do Rudo things. But damn, this was a quick match. Of course, Sky Team does end up picking up the win over our Rudos, but this was still a fun show nonetheless. And again, by the end of this, I thought there was a lot of good stuff here. I just think that having 7 matches and trying to cram it in 2 hours or less is going to be tough. And like we brought up and talked about Primo with during the Flip Gordon and Barbaro Cavanario match, the placement of having so many matches is also not great, especially with Flip and Barbaro coming after MXM Collection taking up the win against your one of your a couple of your top rudos in the company. But overall, this is a pretty fun show. And yeah, this was great. Ooh, okay. If you didn't get the chance, check out the Tuesday show. The Rey del Aire was fan freaking tastic. I'm so excited. I mean, I did get spoiled. If I read it correctly, Flip won the tournament, but I am gonna watch it though because all these things are great. So the King of the Sky is sounds. I'm gonna watch it. That's what I'm gonna add that to my list. I'm gonna watch it this weekend because it's great. Alrighty. So let's preview what we got coming up this Friday. Because Lord have mercy, we're back to a 6-match card. This is great. I mean, to be honest, Primo, though, it's not a CMLL show if there's not audio issues. I'm just saying it is not CMLL without audio issues, which is crazy. Alrighty, but let's get into previewing this card. We are, thank God, back to a 6-match card. So hopefully we get even time amongst the 2 hours that we watch this show. So let's get into our matches that we are having. So kicking things off this Friday, we have a Primera Lucha in Relevos. So this is going to see Calavera Jr. Uno y Calavera Jr. Dos taking on the team of Virus and Concebrero. So that should be a fun match. Then in our second match, we are seeing the Amazonas back in action as we see India Sui, La Jarochita, and we got a little preview of her coming down to the ring here. Akira from Japan, which I'm super excited for, taking on the team of Persephone, Dark Silhouette, and returning from Japan herself, Miss Olympia. We love you. The Stardom boys got to see Olympia in the Dream Queendom event at the beginning of the year. And she had some bangers and she had a really fun moments in that battle royale. But I'm really happy to see Olympia back in Arena México. Then in our third match, this is a mano VIP. We're getting a rematch. This is Captain Suicida taking on one of our new faves, my personal new fave, and Papa Oso's one to watch that he picked for the end of the 2025 years awards, which is Utani. I'm really excited to see these two go back at it again because their match last time was fantastic. And this is a regular match. This is not a Relampago match or anything, so this is going to be fun. Then, por el Campeonato Mundial de Parejas, CMLL So for the CMLL Tag Team Champion, when I was talking, so that should be fun. Ooh, I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me, Primo, that Dark Silhouette is back from injury too, so this is gonna be banging. But for the CMLL Tag Team Championships, Los Hermanos Chavez, Angel de Oro, and Niebla Roja will be taking on 2/3 of the MXM collection. So this is Mansoor and Mason Madden taking on Los Hermanos Chavez for the tag titles. Should be a pretty fun match. Then, following that match, we're going to see the other third of MXM collection. As it is a mano a mano CMLL versus AEW, we see Johnny Consejo taking on El Novio of CMLL in Soberano Jr., so that should be a fun match. And then in our main event, Lucha Estelar, we have the team of Templario, Neon, and Flip Gordon taking on the team of Barbaro Cavanario, Averno, and returning for this particular episode, AEW and CMLL's Hechicero. So this should be a really fun match. I'm really looking forward to this Friday. And it is going to be a really fun way to kick off February as we are also getting some stuff. Johnny got a stacked weekend. So Verano Difunto flip 100%. And I'm really, really excited. So I'm definitely going to check out Rey del Aire from the Tuesday show. So that should be a lot of fun. And it is on my list to watch this weekend. But that's going to be it for Los Lobos de la Lucha tonight. We are going to be back next Wednesday. Actually, no, we will not. Actually, we might. I'm going to put a maybe. So, Primo, before you go, I'm going to give you this exclusive. So, I personally will not be here next Wednesday because I am going to be enjoying IRL adventures. So, I am going to a concert on Wednesday. So, I am going with La Madre, Mama Laguelo here, and both of us are going to a Cardi B concert in our area. So I will not be here. I'm pretty sure Papa also will be here, and I will try to get someone to fill in for me so he's not doing this by himself. Well, I mean, he probably could because he's good, and then he has you, Primo. But yeah, I will not be here next Wednesday, so I'm kind of sad because I do like the card that we're getting, but I will be back in 2 weeks to do more CMLL stuff. But that's going to be it for us here tonight. We still got a pretty fun week ahead of us. So on Friday, I will be back with my TNA crew as we not only talk about TNA on AMC, but we are getting closer because we are headed into our second pay-per-view for TNA of the year, which is No Surrender, which is happening next week. And so we are probably going to start getting some matches made. Then on Saturday, I will be here at 7 p.m. Pacific to do a live watch along for MLW's Battle Riot. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some CMLL talent involved. So Age of Lo-Fi, if you are free on a Saturday, you pop in. We'll probably do the co-watch together. I'm gonna see if Adolfo is available to do this with me too, but no promises. But that's going to be it for us here tonight at Los Lobos de la Lucha. Once again, shout out to the virtual co-host, Age of Lo-Fi, Primo. It's always a pleasure to have you, and thank you for being my co-host. As I'm the only one here tonight, so thank you for having fun conversations, and you are part of our family, so thank you. I'm going to figure out a way to get a hold of you on social media so we can send you some fun stuff, I promise. But that's going to be it for us here tonight. From all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you at home on the internet, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you Friday for TNA. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.